Okay, welcome everyone to the release working group. Recording in progress.
Hello.
Good, Pablo.
Should we wait a few more minutes, maybe, to?
We can. Yeah.
We sent a few invitations, so yeah, I guess we should wait for maybe 2-3 minutes and see if someone else is joining.
Sure.
Makes sense.
Proceed with the presentations and
It
everything.
said that they wanted to come.
Yeah, we can wait for people. That's totally fine. I do have a few things I wanted to go over, and I did bring some stuff. We had talked about last time a checklist, and so I brought that, and I wanted to go over the project charter, just the risks and the milestones. I think that we can briefly go over those too. So easy stuff. And Pablo, you are in the Canary Islands?
Yeah, I do.
That sounds so amazing.
He's living the dream.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought I was doing pretty well. I'm in, Southern California, and I'm less than 2 miles away from the beach. But the Canary Islands is pretty amazing.
Which island?
I'm in Tenerife. It's one of the main ones, the big ones.
I know.
Have you been here, actually?
No, one of my co-workers was from the Canaries, and he worked with him in Dublin. Then he moved to Switzerland, and now he managed to get a job back in the Canaries.
Oh, that's nice. Here in the Canary Islands, there are not too many people in the industry, so there are even chances that I know this guy already.
Probably.
But come on, besides you, there are how many? 3, 4 people working for SUSE from the Canary Islands?
Yeah, they are in Gran Canaria. And there are, I think, now there might be even 4 people working for SUSE in the Canary Islands. Yeah.
Wow.
A bunch of them.
Soon we will move the headquarters to the Canary Islands.
Nice.
All right. Okay, let's see how many people we have here. All right.
Yeah, maybe 1 more minute, then it's 5 minutes past, and then we can get started.
Yes. Christian, where are you in the world? Are you in Germany?
Yeah. I'm on pretty close to the border of France, so on the left side.
Yeah. That's awesome. And Curl, welcome. I know you're in Austria.
Hi.
Are you feeling better?
Thanks. Yeah, definitely. Much better.
Good. And welcome, Victor.
Hi.
Where are you in the world?
I'm close to Moscow, about 10 kilometers.
Nice.
To the north.
Nice. I love it. We've got people all over the world. Pretty great.
Okay, it's already 5 minutes late, so I guess that we can start. And yeah, if anyone joins later, then yeah. So yeah, welcome everyone to this new edition of the new release working group meeting from Solstack. Yeah, we have few people here that I think haven't joined, or well, maybe it's the first time for some of them. So maybe we can just do a very quick introduction for each one of us, just in case that there are people that does not know each other. So I will start myself quickly. I'm Pablo Suarez. I'm part of SUSE Manager development team. I'm focused on the salt integration on SUSE Manager and Uyuni. So that means that, yeah, we are basically doing a lot of salt development and yeah, salt maintenance and yeah, and taking care of the releases of salt on SUSE Linux Enterprise. So yeah, you know me already. So yeah, next is Sage here.
Yes, hi, I'm Sage Robbins. I am the program manager for the SALT project. I've been with the project since early 2018, and I wear a lot of hats. I'm also a release manager and a Scrum Master and various other things as well. So my background's also in technical writing, so I have a passion for that. But yeah, I'm here and try to make it all the time and want to definitely get this going. And I'm in California.
Okay, next is David.
Yeah, I work at Salt. I've recently been working on riders like Arista, Juniper, getting native minions working on those two platforms. We also did a proof of concept for Cisco, but then they introduced their own. Those are TMAT based. I've also been working on Solaris 10 and 11 and AIX getting Python 3 version of Salt working on those platforms. Up to a year ago, I used to do the packaging for Salt, but that's being taken over by other people now. But I still have an interest in it.
That's great. Next we have here is Jochen.
All right. Yeah, so basically what Pablo said. So I'm also working for SUSE, basically involved in the whole process regarding what SUSE releases and also the SALT version that gets shipped with OpenSUSE. And yeah, of course, bits and pieces that go into Uni and SUSE Manager. And yeah, I'm from Germany. That's it.
Thank you, Johan. Next I have here in the list is Victor.
I'm from SUSE also. I joined this team about half a year ago, and I think that's all. I'm from Russia, close to Moscow. That's all.
Thank you. And last one we have here is Kirill.
Yeah, nice to meet you guys. I'm Kirill, working as SRE for Salt, doing a lot of testing things, like migrating unit tests to PyTest. So the activities I started like some time ago. Yeah, so that's all I have.
And you do packaging for the FreeBSD?
Oh yeah, for FreeBSD primarily, and me and Bryce Larson, we do Linux packages for all the releases, including CVEs, etc.
That's great. Thank you. All right. So what's next? We have, of course, let me just, well, maybe I can share the screen for a second, just to go over the here we have our release working group board. Yeah, so last time we had this meeting, we were basically preparing the new board. We created the respective channel for Slack for concentrating the community around this. We did a cleanup of the board. We finally moved everything that was left over from the previous testing working group. We moved to the separated working group, and now we have here only things that are related to the release process, which is now the new aim of the working group. The epics that we have here, we have basically one of the main goals, which is make the release process more transparent and work on it to make it and identify the pain points, how we can improve it, and create a proposal for improvement, etc., etc. And from this epic, we worked on this actionable card, basically, which are the different item points for the epic that we have defined. On this regard, we were waiting for some kind of document or point to a link or something where we can basically see how is the current release process, which are the different steps and stages that you are doing, to start working on identifying the pain points based on that document. I'm not sure if we have some progress on getting this document, or if we have some information where we can have access to this information. Shades, maybe you have some.
Sure. So there is, I will link everyone to this. There is an older checklist that we used in the past that is a closed issue in GitHub that you can see some of the release tasks. And then I will briefly just display what we use today and then what we're thinking of going to. I'd like to go to the issue-based instead of what we use today is Confluence, and previously before that it was a spreadsheet. And I think that works okay, but in order to make that more transparent with the community, I think an issue template would be better, and then to reuse it over and over again. The issue, let me show you that one. I can display that. Maybe.
Yeah, wait a second.
Share screen, there we go.
This okay.
There, can you see my screen?
Yep.
And so this is really high level, and I'd like to break this out more, but this gives you a good example of what we were doing. And so making sure that Jenkins tests are green, internal testing teams like support and professional services, critical use cases aren't broken, manual testing, and generate the release tag. And then completing the packages and put them in the staging area. This is pretty basic, because let me show you what we really do. Because what we really do is a lot more. You know, we have a pre-release meeting. We talk about code freeze reminders. This is kind of going away since now we did do a temporary branch this last time, and we may do that again. And then booking a release meeting so that we're all together. You know, this gets a little more granular, and then reviewing the communication plan. And then here's, you know, test suite is green, features and MVPs are complete. This is customer issues that have been designated to go into the release, regressions, critical bugs, right? So a lot of this is like prep and pre-release. And I think that's what I have it labeled as is pre-release. And then making sure everything is merged and reviewing that. Platform support page has been updated. OS support, if we're doing one, if it's a major release, we do a deprecation warning message check to make sure that we got all those deprecations done. Bootstrap PRs are done, and this should also say Bootstrap release. And then update to the reference. This is where we start getting into more of the meat of it, where we're talking about let's reference this, need to change wherever aluminum is referenced, right? Update instructions, generate man pages, right? This goes on and on and on. So this is getting a lot more granular than say this one, right? Yes. So how I was considering doing this in a template was doing pre-release tasks, sort of like I've done here, pre-release, internal staging GA if we're doing an RC, then the actual release, and then post-release tasks, and making each one of those an issue. And then giving them a checklist.
That's really nice, because yeah, exactly. This kind of workflow is exactly what we were expecting to have. Pre-release, internal stuff, staging procedures, and release and post-release. So yeah, having this in GitHub issue, so we can start working on this document, see, trying to identify or try to gather how we are doing this, how we can improve this, if there are some points that, you know, can be automated somehow, or we can improve somehow. So that this document is great to have. So Yeah. Great.
Yeah. I will take this, I can make it a PDF and I can send it to the group or make it available to the group as a, this is kind of as is. I also have an MD file I'm working on my machine that is more like this one, but then goes into more detail. And as I get that a little more fleshed out, I can also share that around or maybe put it in a pull request or something so that it can be reviewed. And then we can identify some of those pain points. I can tell you today that David can probably tell us where some of the pain points are just briefly, and so can Curl. And I know that I have a few as well. If we wanted to dive into that, or if we wanted to do that next time, and I can come pretty prepared with succinct things, or we could go over it now, either one. Maybe next time. Or do you want to do it this time?
I don't have a preference. In any case, just one thing I wanted to mention. You have this assignee column for each one of the different stages. This is so in case that we are, let's say, or have some doubts about some of these things, can we contact these people directly?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can give that information out as well. Frude, this says deactivated, and it's because it's his salt stack account, and now he's using his VMware account. So it's, don't read into that too much. I'll clean this up before I send it around so people can have that. And I'll put some contact information into these. And Frude is actually not doing it as much. So I'll make sure you guys have the right names.
But I expect that the people who is assigned it there is the one that usually takes care of this. So in case that we have some questions or anything, maybe the right person to reach is particularly this one. So it's a worth to have information about
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll make sure that you guys have that. Shane is also pretty involved as he's still doing some packaging for Windows and Mac. And then of course, Frude is involved with the testing. Some of these other things that he was doing for, creating man pages and things like that, and doing the tag. We've moved that to Derek, although that's very, very recent. He's done it once, Derek Ardoff, and he will be involved. In fact, he was going to try to join today, but I think he may have had a conflict, but he will attend in the future. And of course, they're all on
joined
Slack.
actually a little bit late myself, so
welcome, Derek.
Yeah.
I didn't see you. But yeah, we'll make sure that you guys have that. I'll clean this up so before I send it around, because this one's, now that we've changed over and it looks like people are deactivated, it's not very helpful. So I'll make sure it's more helpful.
It's really a great starting point for working on how we can improve this and automate this. So this is really great to have. Cool.
Yeah, I'll make sure of that. Oh.
Yeah, there can be, what's really great about a lot of these is that a lot of them will say, hey, what about the ZD tickets? Hey, what about the PRs labeled for this release? And there are, GitHub has a CLI tool, for example, that you could just check all ones with particular labels to see, are there ones that are unmerged? Are there issues that are yet to be closed? And you can already then get automated audits on without having to then go manually search to see if, what would next steps need to be, if they need to be pushed to another release or if they need to be merged in before.
Right. And I think a lot of what we're looking at where we see pain points is that we're doing things manually that really, in order to audit and to make it better, we should put in that automation. And so we should be using what we have available to us through GitHub and what we have available to us through Salt, right? Why aren't we using what we can use there? And some of the other tools that are just sort of available as open source tools, we don't need to recreate the wheel. we can use some automation here and be a little bit faster and more predictable, more repeatable.
Yeah, we don't need to do that step that's red there. That we don't need to do that one anymore, except the testpypy.org might be a good idea to make use of, because I don't think we use that test location, do we?
I don't think we do. I put it in here as a, is this something that we should be doing? the comment is, should we be using it from PyPy, from test PyPy? And this was just to run the sed command and manually the twine check.
Yeah, because the sed command used to need to be used back when our
Right.
RST was failing the twine check because we didn't have that in our pipeline yet.
Right, but now we do. Yeah.
Yeah,
And so
because that's
I left it here. I just left it for this, like, do we want to do this in the future? Because I think that we haven't been doing it, and it seems like it would be a good practice to put it on a test site first, just like we would regularly do. We put it on staging before we put it to prod. We at least do a smoke test, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I really like the idea of using that test location because, for example, there's a change that Bryce put in recently that was to fix, because right now in PyPy, for example, we don't actually display, what are those called? They're like category tags of a package.
And they're called
What are those?
classifiers.
Classifiers, thank you.
Oh,
And
Bryce.
but if you were to publish to the test PyPy, it would actually show whether it's now rendering properly or not, for example, before actually doing a live package.
Right. Yeah, so there's some things I think we're probably missing out on there that would also help with that sort of transparency piece and communication piece in PyPy. And I'd like to get that a little more robust. Some other things here that I'll quickly mention is that as we go to staging and we build, if there's anything wrong with a build, we have to start over and rebuild. And so that is a major pain point and is often something that is tripping us up and taking longer. And so I'm not exactly sure that automation is going to fix everything, but I think it may make us more repeatable in the future. Like if we always see this, then we know how to combat it, if that makes sense. We know what this problem is because we've seen it before. And so now we're doing something different. We have that automation piece instead of someone remembering and making that a bus factor of 1.
I can see a future where we, because I know we've talked about the idea of nightly builds, and
yes.
I could see a future where Windows packages are being built off of master, and you're already getting made aware of, hey, this actually fails for this reason beforehand, but maybe I don't know.
Right. So it's not every night. It's like, is it every other night, Bryce, that we have some builds? And are they just the Linux packages builds?
Yeah, it's just the TMOP Linux packages.
And so we're every other night. And so those are already out there on Artifactory, and we're building out a test suite to test those. But yes, eventually we would like to do package testing on Windows and Mac and FreeBSD and anything else that we can do more regularly, way before a release, so that we're doing it in that release cycle, and we're doing it all the time so that we can then see some of those issues coming forward way before we get to like that package release at a GA or at a RC process. Because today we haven't done that. We've just only talked about it, but that is in the works.
Yeah, I think Shane's actually been looking into that piece, which has been kind of cool to see. Yeah.
Yes. So I can put some more, as I give this to everyone, I can also put some details in, maybe some after notes that say some things that we're working on and where those things exist and kind of where that's going, so that people can also see that as well. I can do a little report.
Also, our Artifactory is going away in August. So we're gonna have to migrate to rebuild.saltstack.com.
Oh, that's right. For where all those TMOP builds are going.
Yep.
Will we be moving to using Harbor instead of Artifactory, like other parts of VMware are doing?
Harbor is only for containers and Helm charts and other Docker related things.
Okay.
So that won't work for RPMs or Debs. We are looking into using Akamai, like I think Photon uses Akamai for their packages, but that's taking a while to get that implemented. So we'll see.
And it was slow. Right. Sorry, go ahead.
And I was going to say, you need to consider we've got the Arista, Juniper, Solaris, and AIX packages to be handled
Right.
too. And they definitely won't go into containers.
Yeah. So yeah, I was the upload speed on Akamai is really slow, like 3 megabit compared to
Ooh.
syncing from one bucket to the other, and S3 is like 2 gigabit. So
Yes, I know the pain of the 3 megabit upload.
Yeah. And so Bryce told me about that and was like, is that going to be a deal breaker? And I was like, yes, that's a deal breaker. I don't know that we can use that. So I think you were going to try to look into that with Akamai, right? To find out if there was something.
I'm asking VMware IT if they can talk to Akamai or something like that. Because, I mean, if we're really careful, we could have it all uploaded there early in the morning when we release, and then clear the cache right at 12 when we're ready to go. But it just seems error prone if anything bad goes, like if anything bad happens or anything is unforeseen, there's lots that can go wrong with that slow of an upload speed.
Yeah, that can
like if somebody does a copy without archive.
Oh, David, I love you.
Or with
Hugs.
and with how Tiamat will mean much larger packages too.
Yes.
They're actually, if you take the whole repo as the size, they're about the same size because
oh really?
They have all the dependencies and stuff anyway. It's like the entire amount uploaded
instead of it being
almost
spread
the
out.
same.
Okay.
Like for Debian, they're for sure going to be bigger, but for like Amazon Linux, I think they're actually smaller.
Oh, so then it works out that it's similar size total.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes more sense. Because I was looking at Debian and was like, oh, this is bigger. So, okay. That's good to know. And also with this, along with other communication pieces throughout the project, is we need to look at automating that communication. And we used to have, I think you guys can still see my screen if I do this. We used to use, and I think this is available to other people. This is out there. Oh, I gotta have the first one. How do I do that? We used to have some things here. And when Megan started this is a long time ago, she was pretty new at Python, and she kind of did this to learn, but this had some automated things in it for us to do with scripts and everything else. But now it doesn't always work because we're not using Gmail and things have changed. And so we have some work to do here, but this should be available to people to look at, to use. And I would like to revisit, if not this, something else to do more automatic communication that would come from one source and then disperse out to everything, sort of like an RSS feed. That seems like a much better way to go and a much more fluid way to communicate. I'm sort of surprised we're not doing it, actually. It's been a long time that I've been on a project that we haven't used an RSS feed for communication. So,
how is that affected by this on GitHub? How is that affected by the fact that most of our pipelines are on GitLab?
This or communication, or which piece? What do you mean, David?
No, I mean most of our CD pipelines are on GitLab. So in OSS release, reading that first line, automation scripts for OSS releases.
Right, and so it's this is all out of date, but this is where we originally had it. And so if it makes more sense for this to be in GitLab to then use those CI/CD pipelines, then we probably need to make that update. There's a lot of things here that we need to think about because this is out of date enough that we're barely using it. So we have some, I would call them chores. Product likes to call them tech debt, which I guess we can call it that. You know, it's our process to automate, right? We need to think about that a bit. But yeah, so I think that this has got a lot of work.
What kind of communication are we talking about here? Is that only external communication, like posting to a mailing list or something like that, or is it also internal communication that was handled by that OSS release repository?
This one only only did external, and it was originally built to use those mailing lists, the Google groups, the public Google groups, and then it would also post to Slack. So it was limited in just those 3 pieces, because we also, I don't think that it posted to IRC. It didn't, I don't think this was used for release notes in any way. And it was definitely not used for social media, which now we have. So there's some other things to kind of think about there, that we have a lot more platforms besides just the mailing lists in Slack. And I think that it could include internal as well, because that was actually something that I think we did haphazardly, sort of a little bit manually. We thought everyone was on those public Google groups, but I didn't even know about them when I came into the company. Like, nobody ever said anything. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know those existed. It's we have a sort of a communication gap.
Yeah, makes sense.
Which can be filled.
Yep.
It can be filled with automation so easily.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
right, with Slack, IRC, the mailing lists, Twitter, Facebook, Reddit.
Keybase.
Oh man, Keybase, forgot about that one.
Yep. There's a lot. And we have in the past done some posts on the blog that could also be part of that automation that's external, at least linking to it, and making sure that communication is also succinct. So anywhere that you would go, if you saw the communication piece for whatever release, it matches. So then you're not doing manual steps to get those into different places either, because that needs to happen at a top level. Today, we're not doing that. So there's lots of mistakes. Mostly I make them. I'm human. Yeah.
All right. There is another thing. Well, I'm looking forward for basically exploring this document, because I think there are room for pushing ideas and see how we can try out things to improve. But just switching a bit the topics, here there was this other card that, well, Jochen had the initiative to contact people that is involved in the release, in the maintenance and release of salt in different distributions. So he contacted to salt maintainers in a bunch of distribution to basically let them know that we have this new working group. So inviting them to join. So maybe Jochen can tell us a little bit more on the effort he has been doing on this. We have an epic goal in our board, which is precisely about this issue. So maybe Jochen, you want to jump in and tell us a little bit the status of this?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think I was writing to, I don't know, 14, 15 people, something like that. Would be nice if some of them would join in the future. Let's see if that is happening. But yeah, so that of course had a pretty specific topic, because for every OS and every distribution, the release process is looking a little bit different. Some are a little bit heavier, some are a bit more lightweight, like for macOS, for example. Seems like, at least for the brew repository, they are just changing the version number, and then the automation takes it from there. And once the process starts, then everything is fine. For OpenSUSE, this is a little bit different, because there are additional test suites that get run, and it has to go through a whole release process, additional OpenQA testing, and people have to check the RPM packages and whatnot. So there is a lot more to do. So huge difference between the two. But the real challenge that really comes with security releases, because there are embargoes involved, and you can't follow the normal release process. Yeah, things like the patches, the testing, the preparation, all of that has to be done behind closed doors, and everybody needs to be strict about that, because otherwise users and customers are endangered, and that is not fun. And yeah, I think what it would still be great to have the opportunity to have the security, even the security releases for every OS and every distribution once the embargo ends. And I would like to discuss if and how we can make that happen. So if we are able to get more involvement from other OSs and distributions, how could we make it happen that everybody that wants to has the opportunity to even ship the security releases right when the embargo ends?
So my question really about that is, how do we stay in contact? Because the mailing list seems to have, there was the packages mailing list, and that kind of just got old and unmaintained, and so then it stopped being used. What can we use that will stay maintained? Would a private Slack channel be a good way? Would that be better than a mailing list?
Or I was going to say an RSS feed, but that's probably too public. I think the group could work. I think we need to all maintain it. I want to think about that. I'm open to other ideas, though.
I think basically the most common denominator would probably be a mailing list. Of course, a non-public mailing list, because can't have it in the public here. And yeah, I think for most distributions and for most people that are involved in OS maintains, they are used to mailing lists, so shouldn't be a problem there.
We just need to put more effort into keeping it current.
We do. Yeah. That is a public Google group, but it's heavily managed. And I've had a few people ask to join it. And I've scrutinized that and not just let anybody join. But I think we could have more ownership with this group in that public Google group, because it doesn't need to be just, you know, SALT employees. I think that it could be anybody that's in this group to help maintain that, because the more people that help maintain it, the better.
Should we have Froda start posting announcements and stuff to that, like he does the regular one, except maybe with a day advance notice or something like that?
We can talk about that. I think that's a good idea. I actually was under the impression that he was doing something like that. And then when I spoke to him about it, I don't know that that's actually happening anymore. So I can actually follow up with him about what the process was and what he thinks it should be. And we can also propose something here that's better. And I'd love to hear from the group of people that are on that mailing list and are expecting notifications, their opinion as well, because I think that's valuable.
How many people are on that? Do we need to clean it up if we're going to make security announcements on it?
Probably. It's not a large group, probably less than 20. Let me go look.
I think that this is actually something.
What? 32 members.
So I was saying that I think this is actually something that is a really nice goal also for the working group, which is to define and agree on the workflow for the security updates, which is a particular one, right? Because of the embargoes and everything, and you know, so this is something that, beside of the general improvement that we can do for the general releases, this particular point for the security updates and the CVE releases, which has a special workflow probably, this one is also something that it would be really nice to define and agree between all people involved, because yeah, I think we can do things there to really have this engage and being able to do a smooth CVE releases when they come. So yeah, I will add this one also as a topic, so we can treat this topic beside of the general release working group, let's say, agenda. Okay.
Do we also want to add people who are packaging for their OSs to the Salt Priv repo so they can see the entire process, or is that too risky?
To which repo?
We have a private version of the Salt repo for our CVE process that it's private. So
Okay.
I was wondering if you're muted, Sage.
You're muted.
Sage, you're muted.
So it's a sorry about that. It's a private repo where we do development there, and we for the CVE releases, and that's where we don't have a very good written process on that just yet. I need to push for that and will. I have in the past and can do that. Right now, I don't think that it's a good idea because it's not obvious and it's not a well-documented process, but we can dive into some pieces there. And I think that that's important because this piece, especially where we're talking about the packagers needing to have communication and embargo, that's a part of it. And we need to make sure that we're doing it. And today that's not really laid out very well. And it should be. So we'll hold on that for now, but I think that we should consider that as we move forward. And definitely this team needs to see that release process and that communication process. And so I need to have something written for it. Today, I don't have anything that's more than what I've shown you. Just we have it in a private repo, and that's not enough. It's not detailed enough.
Okay, and sorry for asking again, but I didn't really just get it. The mailing list that you've been talking about, that was until now an internal mailing list. So there are just SaltStack people subscribed to it, or which one is it?
The package salt packagers.
Yeah, there is external people on it. It's just it gets like 1 or 2 messages a year. It's not really used.
It is a public Google group. Salt DAS packagers, and there's 32 people on it.
You do have to request to join.
And you have to request to join. And it is owned by those who are employed. And I think we could make that different. This group I think should be more involved there, especially where we're taking up packaging and the coordination of that. And so if you're not a member of that group, please join. I'm not even sure how to send you something about that. Google groups are
but that would be more for the public communication about packaging and releasing stuff. If we would like to talk about the security releases, even with OS and distributions that with other OSs and distributions, we would need to have a mailing list on top of that would be private and where only people that can be trusted could be subscribed to.
Yes, and that's kind of been in flux. So previously, we only announced prior to a CVE. I mean, originally we'd said nothing, and then in the last sort of year and a half, we've started to communicate with a few people that have signed some sort of non-disclosure agreement. So that's mostly customers that have bought enterprise. But I do want to look at how we can open that up to the community to sign something like that and become trusted and then be on that mailing list. And that may be two that we're talking about. So sort of a general mailing list that is about CVs and customers in the past and trusted community members, and then packagers, because there may be some separate communication that needs to go to those.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's fine. Those would need to both be private, I believe. Yeah, so this is a public group, but it's heavily scrutinized to join it. And the people that are in this group I believe at one time we did know who they were and trusted them for packaging, and only sent them very little communication that would have been prior communication that we wouldn't have just had to the general community. But we could make that better defined and clean that up.
All right. Hey, this is good. I already subscribed to the group.
I approved.
That's great.
Can you approve mine too?
I did. You should see it in a minute.
Okay.
Oh yeah, here we go. Cool, thanks.
Okay, what else? I just created the card for this CV release workflow and added to the board. So we have a particular card for that to talk about this in the future. What else? Do you have anything else that we should bring up to the meeting today? I'm not sure, Jochen, for the sole maintainers that we reached for the previous, for joining this meeting. I'm not sure if we should be also sending invitation again for the next appointment. Maybe they got some problem for joining, whatever. So yeah, let's not just forget them. Let's try to keep pushing them for joining us.
Yeah, makes sense. And I think we sent the emails over a month ago. So
yeah. Maybe we can send it.
I can
not
do that as well.
From the
Yeah, that's fine. I've been considering that along with some other things that need to happen. Reminders that's not sort of 10 minutes before.
Speaking of automation, just pressing the button.
I can even put it in the Slack channel. You know, we can put in that it just says like the day before or the 2 days before every month. Remember, we're meeting. Yeah, I can put that in.
And we just call it auto spam.
That's right.
Okay.
Yay. Slackbot is our friend.
Okay, so then for the next meeting in 1 month, we will have probably this PDF or whatever document, so we can already take a look to that and maybe bring something for the next working group meeting. Yeah, and we will also let sole maintainers know for this meeting, so hopefully we will have more people on the next one. And yeah, I think that I'm not missing anything. Let's see. In any case, anything that might come in this time, we still have we have the release process channel in Slack, and we have the board. So feel free to create cards there. Do comments and whatever, and we will review them during the next meeting. And I think that's pretty much it. I don't have anything here on my agenda for bringing to the meeting, so I'm not sure if there is something else missing on your side that you want to mention or announce.
I don't think I have anything.
Okay. Yeah, so I would say that maybe we can just wrap it. We are just about, there is still 10 minutes left, but I think there is not much more to keep discussing today. So I want to thank you all for joining. Also for bringing the ideas and everything to the working group. See you in 1 month. Take care.
Where can we find the next link or announcement? I always have a hard time keeping up with all the community working groups.
Yeah, I'll make sure that you're on it.
Okay, sweet.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Stay healthy. Bye.